He's a Sanskrit scholar. He was an epigraphist. Here you can see him on the Varanasi thing, and here he's looking at the priest. It's an amazing feat that what James Princeps did is remarkable. He could translate by looking at the two languages, as it were, Brahmi and Sanskrit, and tell us what those mean. For centuries, Ashoka was a steady king mentioned in the Puranas, just myths, nobody would believe. In 1837, James Princeps deciphered an inscription on Brahmi script referring to a king called Devana Vyasi, beloved of the gods. In 1916 was discovered another inscription which speaks of Ashoka Piyadasi. In independent India, Nehru gave prominence to Ashoka. We know now how we are linked to Ashoka. And the Delhi Iron Pillar can be studied now. It was done by Professor Baldev Raj and other friends. By lightly etching the thing, we can see what type of material is it. Is it cast or is it wrought? How was it produced? Is it a powder metallurgy productions? You can see all the beautiful microstructures, the size of the grains, how it varies. This is the kind of scientific study we can do. It's a traditional material produced in 400 AD, 1600 years ago, but today can be studied. Every bit of that can be studied. And this led to our book, India's Legendary Wood Steel, by myself and my colleague Sharada Srinivasan. I must tell you, without quite knowing about it, we studied this wood steel. The stories of that were so wonderful. And we did something which is normally done today. We put it on the web without worrying about copyright and other rights, etc. As a result of that, this book got wide publicity. People could download this book easily. And they said this book has been written by authors from the woods country. So translated into French, into German, and several other languages. It's a very pleasing thing. And what you see here is, of course, an image of Hampi. Now, I will stop here for a minute and not introduce every one of them, but I already told you about Cyril Stanley Smith, who is on the right figure on top, and the other people who studied this wood steel. But I must make a special reference to the middle figure in the top row. That is none other than Michael Faraday. When the British found this steel in India, found it so strong and so ductile, they could not make it. They couldn't even understand that. So this is the next best thing, to send it to the Royal Society to analyze it. They couldn't analyze it, all the facilities available here. And the Royal Society chose Michael Faraday to do that. Yesterday, Professor Sharma referred to Michael Faraday, one of the greatest experimenters of all time. The person who discovered electricity and magnetism brought them together. Faraday said, oh, this is a simple task. He was the son of a blacksmith. So he said, I understand steel very well. But this steel, how do I produce? So he took iron and added to that gold, silver, copper, chromium, all the elements from the periodic table which were known at that time. But they were good, but not strong enough. Did not have the strength and ductility of it. He missed one thing. It had carbon in it. I'll come to that in a minute. It was actually a steel. It's no longer an iron alloy. So, Professor Michael Faraday failed in this effort, in spite of being one of the greatest experimenters of all time. But he is now acknowledged as the discoverer of alloy steels, because in the process he discovered. But I want to inform you how carefully the British followed. All the samples he prepared were preserved and were studied later by Robert Hadfield. So the compositions of all those alloy steels were known. So we are not able to follow that kind of approach, scientific approach, and conservation. I come for a minute to Tipu Sultan. This is the swords of Tipu Sultan, very famous. And these steels are also made of wood steel. And wood steel, there are myths, legends, and poetry. Then traveler's time. I already referred to Faraday and Anasov, Cyril Stanley Smith, Sherby and Verhoeven, and archaeometallurgy in India, which has now grown. Several of us have pursued it. I am here, and Sharada is there, and then of course Jai Kishan is with us. So you can see this steel has captured the imagination. We will have a more important lecture. All we have to decide this is the furnace of Buchanan. He made a sketch of it. You can see here the smith blowing air, and there are leaves. And from the leaves, carbon went into the iron that was there, and it became steel and could melt and make this. So it's an important discovery. And steel went to sword making. And I must also say cannons. I feel Professor Jai Kishan may cover some of that. There is a cannon called Rajagopala cannon in Tanjore. This is studied by Professor Balasubramanian and Professor Anantaraman. Professor Anantharama himself comes from Tanjore, and therefore Rajagopala is something very appealing to him. They analyzed this. We made cannons, we made swords, we made all kinds of things, not just swords. And we also made rockets. It's not so well known, and this is Rocketing from the Galaxy Bazaar, a major article written by Professor Rodam Narasimha. Tipu Sultan managed to make rockets that frightened the British. Whole set of rockets could be thrown at the invading British. They all ran away. But then they took some of them and gave them to William Congreve, United States. They improved it. So for a long time, the history books recorded that rockets were discovered in United States. No, we are one of the major discoveries of it. Not too long ago, you must remember this has been done. And now I come, we produce production, how to make various materials. We also studied their composition and so on. But what is important is to give you a whole new principle. In order to study steel, they had to establish the phase diagram. So this phase diagram of iron and carbon is one of the most important things. Robert Austin in 1898 did this in order to understand the wood steel. And historical evolution of the iron carbon diagram, you can see slowly as the techniques improved, we can furnish and improve the techniques. But please note, the whole impetus for that came from the Indian steel. And then they saw the microstructure. The fact that you produce a material, take a material like steel, process it, cool it, hold it, heat it, quench it, but that's very important. Then you produce a microstructure, and that determines the properties and performance. This is called the material science paradigm. This underlies the whole of material science. Friends, it's easy to discover, if I may say so, a new material. It's easy to discover, I mean easy in that sense, a new processing technique. Discover the entire underlying principle of material science as a whole is an Indian achievement, if you like. It gave rise to this Indian achievement, if you like. And today, we can make all kinds of material. Graphene, if you look at nanotube, all of them are governed by the same principles. So we can be very happy, apart from producing a material and processing, we gave rise to scientific principles of the highest order. And this is Faraday, about whom I mentioned. These are microstructures. This is very important because in United States, Sherby prepared iron carbon steels searching for superplasticity. When he produced this, people told him, Professor Sherby, you just reinvented the wood steel. Please remember that even though this steel was known of Sherby's time, he didn't know that this steel was like that. This is the microstructure and very fine principles of solidification. Professor Lele will appreciate and many metallurgists will appreciate. A simple addition of vanadium is the one which caused that microstructure to come like that, which you can see with your eye. When the vanadium ran out in the ores, we were no longer able to manufacture because people ask many questions as to why you did it so well and then you stopped manufacturing this wood steel. That is because the new ores did not contain vanadium. And this is the material tetrahedron. I think this is the most important contribution in a way that has come because of an Indian material. But this goes over to Bidri ware. Bidar, everybody is here. Here is a Bidri ware. It's a zinc alloy. And there also you can produce wonderful microstructures. They are called Damascene microstructures. The same way we produce beautiful microstructures, we can produce in zinc alloys. There is a Tamil saying that the beauty of the eye, beauty of the inner beauty is visible in the face. Agathin Murham, Muhatil Theriyum. We look at the steel. By looking at it, we can say, is it a good steel? Is it going to cut very well or not? So that principle is applicable to the Bidar ware also, Bidri ware also. Now this is what I told you, History of the World in 100 Objects by Neil MacGregor. We have ambition to produce the history of India in 100 objects. I have described some of them. I invite a lot of people to work on this project. Thanks to Sahapedia now, a lot of people are writing articles about these objects. We collect them together, have it a very authoritative account to study the multi-splendid India that produce. This is the material hyper-treated for wood steel. And I would like to, at this stage, inform you that history is very interesting. It's not just a question of how many kings, how many queens, how many dynasties they founded. It's what happened at that time. We are such a historical turning point. And the subject has been most interesting because of its allying itself not just with material science as I showed, but also with digital technologies. by digital technology, we can recreate some of these materials, some of these monuments, and you must have all seen how many monuments about to be destroyed in the Middle East have been digitally imaged and recreated. And thanks to advances in techniques like 3D printing, we can produce huge replicas of that. So what is past is lost. We can recreate them. And we can recreate them not just in one place. In principle, the Mohenjo-daro lady, a small replica of that can be given to every school. Just imagine the pride it can induce in our children, in our elders, in everybody to think of what India has done in the past, how we can proceed further ahead. Friends, we had a glorious past. In my view, an even more glorious future awaits us with all the initiatives that I'm seeing now. So I'd like to thank all the concerned people for giving this privilege of addressing this particular audience on this day. Thank you. Is it okay now? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Due to time shortage, we will still not have the question answer session now. I'm sure you all can interact with him during the lunch session. I now call upon our chairman, Dr. Shrikant Lele, to please give his chairman remarks.
Friends, I don't think any summarizing comments are required, but I'm sure all of you have enjoyed the stimulating talk by Professor Ranganathan. One of the things, I have attended many of his lectures, of course, and one of the things which I find very fascinating is the number of connections which he is able to bring about in extremely varied kind of topics. And today's lecture was no exception. I'm sure you enjoyed all of it as I did, and I would like to thank him, and I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity of being here along with him. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Shrikant Lele to please felicitate our speaker. Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. Prabhakar Renavikar, Senior Metallurgist and Retired Quality Head, Tata Motors, past Chairman of ASM International, to please felicitate our Chairman, Dr. Shrikant Lele. Thank you, sir. I now call upon Swati Satpute to present the vote of thanks and make the further announcements.
Honorable Chairman, Chief Guest, and distinguished dignitaries from the industry and academia, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this plenary session. I, Swati Satpute, on behalf of the organizers of 5th Bharatiya Vigyan Sammelan, would like to extend my sincere and heartfelt thanks to the Chairman, Dr. Shrikant Lele, for chairing this session. I wish to express my gratitude towards Chief Guest, Professor S. Ranganathan, for enlightening us on the topic of metallurgy in India. Sir, it was quite an informative session. I'm also grateful to Dr. Prabhakar Revanikar, Senior Metallurgist, for gracing this occasion. Finally, I would like to thank a wonderful audience for being patient and enjoying this, having active participation. Now I'll be calling upon Samir Dhurde. He's going to talk about the Zero Shadow Day. Okay, we are having Deepak Doshi, who is going to speak about the Zero Shadow Day.
Hello everyone. Today is 13th May, and you all are in Pune, and Pune enjoys a special occasion on this particular day. We say, sun is passing overhead every day. Is it really true? No, it's not. Sun is either towards your south or towards your north every day. except a particular day. Particular day for Pune is 13th May. Today, sun is going to be exactly overhead at 12:31 noon. So just after a few minutes, we are going to enjoy this phenomena. This phenomena happens twice a year between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. As you all know, due to the precision and tilt of axis, sun moves from Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn every year, and it keep on oscillating motion between two. On 21st of March and 21st of September, it appears exactly overhead on equator. Pune lies between equator and Tropic of Cancer. The motion gives